Hello, art teacher here again, and back again with the bookmaking series. This is part 3. Probably do you good to take a look at those other two parts. This one is the just the next in the series. So today I want to make a little book with a cover where each page has a small pocket like that. So this is not the longer book. The same, you could figure out how to do that longer book from part 2 with pockets. You just use the same logic you're using on this and you'll figure that out. So anyway, it's a cover, a page with a pocket, another page with a pocket, and then the last page with a pocket. It'd be good for Christmas cards or kind of a wallet thing. It seems the kids seem to like it. The students I've shown this to have enjoyed it. I'm going to try to go through this one a little quicker than that part 1 though, so just try to keep up with me on this. Here's what you're going to need. Construction paper or other paper. Maybe you can use any type of paper you'd like, but there are many fine papers available. I'll probably do a video on papers one day. Piece of paper for the cover. Just a piece of printer paper for the book structure itself. Scissors, tape, and glue stick. Now, let's get right to it. The basic idea is the same as we have been doing, and you'll notice this is the same as I did in part 1. I'm folding it 3 times, folding it in half 3 times like that, in order to achieve 8 rectangles. Okay, so I have 8 rectangles here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then, folding it in half from what I call the valley, or the inside fold right there, I will go ahead and make a quick cut halfway in. Okay, so I'm cutting it halfway in, and what that does is allow me to go like this, and you'll recall that from part 1 and part 2. Fold it together. See how I did that? Let me do that again to make it real clear. Have it like that. Fold it in, fold these together, fold that around. And that's the book. And that is a 1, 2, 3, 4 page structure. And now I want to do these little pockets as part of it. So I'm going to take this paper and fold the bottom up, and that will create pockets. So not that difficult. Just be sure all your folds are flush with the edge. So there you see what I did. I folded it up about, I would call that 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch, like that. Then the other side, I want to make sure they're even, and they're both folded up the exact same amount, and that the edges are flush. Okay, so I'm being careful about that, and I'm looking at it as I go. Yep, that did it. So that's not that difficult. Do you see how I did that? I just folded it up, and that's basically how it should look. Now, with these folded up, I'll go ahead and reform it into the book structure, and you can really see, after I crease it down nicely, you can really see how that's taking shape into a book with pockets. Now what I want to do is tape off the ends. This is a little bit different, or a little more tricky than a normal book, because you have to make sure the tape is kind of thin when you tape off the ends on this type of book, in order to not impair the working of the little pockets. So when I do this, it's the same basic idea. I want to make sure these two are even. So you might have to push these papers around a bit and get them flush and even. Put it flat on the table. And now I'm doing about less than half of a centimeter. So a small amount. And I'll bring it right up to the camera there and show you. But I don't have much tape on the paper itself. So take a look. You'll see it's kind of a small amount of tape on the paper itself. That's less than half a centimeter. So let's go ahead and trim that tape down laterally. go. And trim it this way. A little bit right there. Zip. Now I can take that and fold it over, and that tapes off my end, the end of that page, without impairing the use of that pocket, which is nice. So, as you can see now, I have just a thin line of tape here, and you can use Scotch tape also, but the pocket works on both sides. So that's a nice way to do it. Then trim the end right here, like that. Now, repeat the same thing on the other side, which now that you've done it once, it should be pretty easy. Make sure it's very flush, and you're going to use, again, less than ½ a centimeter. Even I would say you could bring it down to like ½ of a centimeter. Just a small amount of tape over that edge, taking your scissors, and first let me trim off that extra, which I don't need. Then I'm going to trim it laterally again, and that should just take me a second. 1, 2, 3. Tape sticks to the scissors. And fold it over, and that's a small piece of tape, again, less than ½ a centimeter or ¼ inch on that. So, as you can see, it doesn't impair the use of those pockets at all. So now I have the entire book structure completed. All I have to do now is add my cover, and that's the same way. I'm going to use the same similar process to what I did on that first book. So you can look at that one. My measuring is going to be less formal, and I'm going to make a smaller outside margin than I did on the first book. So again, so as not to impair the use of those pockets. So I have a smaller outside margin. That's going to be about 3/4 of a centimeter or so. But again, it's just an eyeball judgment. I'm looking at it as I cut. Again, it doesn't have to be a perfect, everything doesn't have to be perfect on that one. In other words, I'm not literally measuring it, but you can see I have a smaller margin all the way around it. Now, when I do that, there's a couple things I have to do before I just finish that up. One thing I like to do is glue this to the cover. Don't use too much glue or you can get a buckling of the cover. So I'll just use some judicious use of glue. There, just a judicious use of the good old glue stick. And I'm going to go ahead and, again, these are not archival materials. If you wanted something that would last hundreds of years, you wouldn't use glue stick. You would use something called wheat paste. And you mix that up on a double boiler. That's a little different type of glue that lasts a long time. You can Google that, wheat paste. Anyway, now that is almost done. All I need to do is fold in the edges. But before I fold in those edges, I'm going to cut right here down to the book. Just a little cut here on the top and bottom, and that's going to allow me to fold it in. I can do a V cut there too if I want, but in this case, I don't think it's absolutely necessary. It might help a bit though. Now I need to fold all the corners in, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue on all 4 corners. There we go. All 4 corners have a little glue, and now I'm going to fold those corners in. And that's going to help a lot. All 4. There we go. So that wasn't too hard. Folded all 4 corners in with a little bit of glue. Now I need to fold in all 6 of these edges, and I will have a completed book with little pockets. Kind of one of my students did say that looks a little like a wallet. And I thought, yeah, I guess you could say that. It'd be nice for a Christmas card. You could put, I don't know, little gifts or coins or whatever it is you like to give that's small in those little pockets, which would be a nice little handmade book, which is a card, and you can see that really doesn't impair the use of that pocket too much. And it's all folded down nicely all around. Same thing on the other side. Anyway, you can use that book as a card and put little gifts of some sort, whatever it is that you like, small candies, whatever, in each of the pockets, little surprises. So not only would it be something that's handmade, but it would have interesting little gifts in each pocket. So almost done folding these over. Just a little bit of glue stick on all of these. Again, if you wanted it to last hundreds of years, you would use a finer quality paper, which is called archival, and you would use wheat paste instead of glue. So that would work good. So here I have it. That's a completed little book with pockets. So cover, pockets which work, not impaired by the cover. Middle pocket works fine. Small piece of tape there. And the back pocket works fine. Now, I'd like you to go back, if you would, take a look at some of those. If you haven't looked at part 1 and 2, this is kind of a self-contained lesson. You don't have to look at the other parts to understand this. But look at part 1 and 2 again, or if you haven't looked at it, to orient you onto how this works. Also, if you like the videos, feel free to subscribe. That helps a bit, and you'll get an email to let you know when I'm making another one. And do your comments down below if you have any questions or ideas or suggestions or things that you would like to see as a video that I could do. I have a lot of them planned. I have a notebook with a lot of ideas for these videos. But I'd like to hear what your ideas are, what you'd like me to show you about. Anyway, you take care there, and I hope that you get something out of that. That's a great one for Christmas, by the way. Take care.